Hello, welcome to Turks and Caicos Islands, preserving our heritage and our culture. This is episode number 8, and today it is my pleasure to be here with Mrs. Ona Glinton Sanders, the daughter of subject today, Mrs. Ona Glinton from Grand Turk, who has a school named after her. And so we're delighted to be here with you. We're here in New Jersey, and you and I have known each other for many years. We grew up together.
We did.
About 3 houses down.
Right.
3 houses down. You and Fred, and we were just like family.
Just like family.
Yeah, I knew your grandmother.
Yes.
Is it Nini?
Manini.
Yeah,
Yes.
She was a teacher, but your mother was a teacher.
Right.
And so, tell us a little bit about yourself, and in a second we're going to get your daughter to read about the obituary for your very famous mother, Mrs. Ona Glinton. But tell us a little bit about yourself and how where you grew up. You were born. Were you born in Salkey or Grand Turk?
I was born in Grand Turk.
Okay.
Went to school in Grand Turk. Spent some of my summer vacations in Salkey with my father's family.
Okay.
I grew up there, as I said before. I went to school there, and then I went on to Jamaica, to Shortwood Teachers College. Became a teacher, and I went back to Grand Turk, and I taught in the high school there in Grand Turk.
Okay. All right. And you went to school on the parade.
On parade.
Okay.
My headmistress at one time was Miss Helena Robinson.
With whom the school, the high school is now named after.
It's named after.
That's right.
Also, Mr. Alfred Bean was also one of my teachers.
Another Salkey person.
Another Salkey person. Right.
It was Helena Robinson, who was of Salkey.
Yes, Salkey connection.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
Salkey
right.
connection. Right.
It's what is it about these Salkey people that they're all educators?
Well, we take education seriously.
Okay.
It was a small school in Salkey.
Mm-hmm.
I went down there during the holidays, as I said, and if school was in session, I was sent to school in Salkey.
Yeah.
Miss Mamie Robinson was Miss Helena Robinson's sister.
That's right.
She was in charge of that school, and everybody was given special attention. Everybody was expected to do what he or she should do, and so education was very important.
Yeah.
The people there. That was the way to get out and to improve yourself. Through education.
Yeah. Mr. Alsel Smith was also from Salkey.
Smith, yes, he was also from Salkey.
He was one of our headmasters there.
He was too.
Mr. Clifford Jones.
Right. Yes. Mr. Clifford Jones.
This was all from also from Salkey, Astrak, and who became the first priest, native priest in the Turks and Caicos. Yes. And your husband, he's not here today, but Reverend Leroy Sanders, Father Leroy Sanders, was also an Episcopal priest.
Yes.
He's retired now.
He's retired now.
But so now you were Methodist, right?
He was Methodist.
He was Methodist too.
He started out as a Methodist.
That's right.
And then he moved over to the Episcopal, or as we say in the islands, the Anglican Church.
Yeah, Anglican Church. Now, guess what? My mother's folks were also from Salkey, and she was Anglican before she married my father, who was Baptist. So she's a staunch Anglican, and my wife, who's also Episcopalian.
Oh, okay.
So we have a lot of that in our background and education. But we want to talk about education, and what I would like to have now is to have your daughter, Vanessa. Tell us, how many children do you have?
I have 2 children, Vanessa and Stephen.
Okay.
And I have a granddaughter, Layla.
Okay, all right. And your now Fred is not just. How many brothers and sisters do you have?
2 brothers, 1 sister.
Okay.
Fred and Earl.
Okay.
Brothers. Stell is my sister.
Okay. All right. Great. Great. Yeah, Fred and I, we all grew up together. In fact, my brother's name was Fred too.
Yes.
So we used to call him Freddie. He doesn't like when I call him that now.
Yeah, we were just two doors down. I remember
Down,
it was Fred and Glenn, and then there was Charlie,
Charlie
and then
Swan.
there was Claude.
Claude
Swan,
Claude
that
Swan,
was
all of them.
the North Street Boys.
North Street Boys, and Paul Harvey, all
Right,
of them.
Paul,
Yeah. And we were right across from Spencer Hill. But what I'd like to do is to have Vanessa come and read portions of the obituary. Tell us, your mother died at what age?
She was almost 101. She was 100 years. She would have been 101 on June the 13th, 2011.
Okay.
And she died on May the 28th.
Okay.
2011. About a month short of being 101.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we're back with Hyacinth. You want to introduce your daughter?
Yes, this is my daughter Vanessa.
Okay, and Vanessa, what do you do? I hear you do some very famous things with computers. And tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you do? And where were you born?
I was actually born in Nassau, Bahamas, and I did follow in my grandmother's and my mother's footsteps as far as education is concerned.
Okay.
So what I do now is I do software training for law schools across the country.
Mm-hmm. And for law schools across the country.
Yes.
So you do a lot of traveling.
I do a lot of traveling, yes. The Midwest used to be my region, but now I get to travel all over the U.S.
Wow. In fact, you flew in just today, just for this, right? You had a hard time flying in.
I did have a little trouble getting out of St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri. And today we're taping, this is the 12th, what's today's date? This is
13th.
July, 13th of July, 2019. So Vanessa, could you read a little bit about your very famous grandmother, and so that people can know a little bit about her?
Ona Glinton was born on June 13, 1910, in Grand Turk, to parents John and Angelina Lightbourne. She received her early education under the tutelage of Mr. C. Crawford, a Barbadian head teacher working in Grand Turk. From a child, it was obvious that she had a keen interest in education, spending many hours assisting classmates and other children. She went as far as correcting their work prior to handing them their assignments. She was driven to join the humble profession of teaching in 1944 and spent most of her life doing just that up until her retirement in 1972. She thought that every child should have the ability or at least be given an opportunity to learn to read and write. Armed with that mission, she gave many boys and girls of all ages and at varying levels their start in learning. She didn't stop there. She went even further and made sure that a lesson was also learned: the importance of a good education if they were to be successful men and women. Ona Glinton, as we all know, went on to become a stalwart in the field of education in the Turks and Caicos Islands. In fact, Miss Ona, as she was affectionately known, devoted more than 2 decades to what could only be described as a professional passion, teaching. Due to the many years of service, her commitment, and contribution to education, the North Primary School was named in her honor, making her the patron of what is now the Ona Glinton Primary School. Past and current teachers and students often stopped by her house to say hello, to inform her what was going on, or merely to whisper a simple thank you. Mrs. Glinton was an ardent Methodist and participated in almost every aspect of the church life. Of special mention is her outstanding service as a Sunday school teacher, the melody that she added to the church choir as she could be heard singing heartily those old great Methodist hymns which she loved so much. She was also a member of the Women's League, a class leader, and her sale of sweets at any church fundraising activity was always welcomed. A committed, resolute supporter in the field of education, a pioneer in girl guiding, a history maker in her lodge, a community activist, a Methodist stalwart, a mother and grandmother to many, an unforgettable family member and dear friend who has left an indelible mark on the Turks and Caicos Islands and a timeless impression in TCI's history.
All right, that is wonderful. And then part of the reason I try to do these films is so that our population is being outnumbered in the Turks and Caicos. I don't know if you know, it's down to 13%. 13%. And somebody said one day, when we go back there, people can say, "Who are you?" All right, so part of what we want to do is to maintain this and keep it in the archives. So I heard, Heisen, I heard in that obituary the name of a person that keeps coming up, Mr. Crawford. You didn't know him, right?
I didn't know him, but
Yeah.
I heard a lot about him. I heard he was a very good teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
From Barbados.
From Barbados, yes.
Okay. We had a lot of Barbadian
Yes, we did.
teachers.
We think
when
of
we were
Mr.
growing up.
Charlie Bass.
Best.
Yes, he
Mr.
was-
Best was the best. And but he was back in the day, I think, with my older brothers and sisters, Perry. I think one of my sisters, Laura,
Oh, probably.
Missy, went to his school, but he trained a lot of people. Were any of those people from Soul Key trained by him, or like was Helena Robinson and them, or how did they get into education? As far
I'm
as
not
you know?
sure if they were. Maybe they were. I'm not sure about
Okay.
that.
All right. Okay. So how did your mother get started in education?
I guess it was a means of financial support, I suppose, and it was also her love of helping people. And so she took that to heart and decided that that's what she wanted to do.
What was it like? Tell your daughter what was it like growing up in Turks and Caicos back then. The type of fun that we had. I know she's pretty young, so she didn't know. What were some of the things you all did to have fun?
Well, we had to more or less make our own fun. We'd play. The boys would play marbles. The girls would do playing the hula hoop or whatever they could find to do. But most of the time they sent us to learn trade.
Yeah.
The girls would go to do embroidery or sewing or something like that. That's how you would spend your afternoons.
And what were some of the clubs that we were talking earlier before we started filming about the different clubs that your mother was in? Well, tell us a little bit about the clubs that she was in, and then tell us about some of those that you were in.
I think I'm not sure about the club she was in. I know that she
Household
was very
Roof.
active in the Household of Ruth. She
Right.
was very active there in the Household of Ruth. But the clubs, I was usually associated with the clubs connected with the school. For example, we had
Were you the Girl Guides?
Yes, I was.
I remember you being there.
And we had different things going on after school activities. Like we had the debating society.
And Vanessa, I mean, you live in the big city, Philadelphia, or you live here in South Jersey too, Philadelphia.
Yeah, but I have experience living in Philadelphia. And
What did you notice about the difference in community down there as compared to what you live here?
she would say, "Oh, we gotta go see this person. We gotta go see this person." So it's always about making those connections, making sure that you're staying in touch with your neighbors and your family members. And that's a little bit harder sometimes to do in the big city because you're so scattered and people are more concerned. They're not as open, I guess, as it is on the island. It's kind of like everybody kind of knows each other. You're not worried that anybody's there to do you harm. So definitely, I would say that's one of the things I did enjoy when I would visit, the sense of community. I really felt like I didn't have to worry, They say, "Oh, you're Miss Ona Glinton's granddaughter," that kind of thing.
And they would really get into the family history. So let's talk a little bit about your family history. What was your mother's maiden name?
Ona Lightburn. Lightburn, yes.
Boy, they got so many Lightburns in Turks and Caicos.
Yes, they do.
Now, normally the Lightburns are from South Caicos, right?
Yes, they do have quite a few down there in South Caicos.
But she was related to Lightburns, what, from Overback, or?
I don't know where my grandfather came from. I really don't know.
Most likely Bermuda.
Maybe, and her mother I think before she got married, I think she was Angelina Bean. I'm
Bean.
not sure, but I think that's what she was.
So that would be Salkey.
Could be.
Your mother was
So-
born in Salkey?
No, my mother's born in Grand
She's
Turk.
born in Grand Turk.
Grand Turk,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
The Sohi connection came when she
Okay.
married my
Your father. So
Uh-huh.
the Glintons are from
From
Salkey.
Salkey, right.
Okay. And what was your father's first name?
Wilford.
Wilfred
Wilfred.
Clinton. Yeah. You know, I never knew him.
No,
Yeah.
well, Fred didn't know him at all. Fred was born 9 days after he died.
Wow.
So Fred doesn't know.
How did he die? At
He,
sea?
he died at sea.
At sea,
He was
yeah.
a sailor.
Yeah.
He
Like
died
like
at
most
sea.
of the men. When we
Like
were-
most of the men at that time, they would sail. They would stay out sometimes for a year on
Mhm,
those
that's
boats,
right.
and then the boats would come in. They'd just spend a couple hours, and then they'd go back to sea. And
Mhm.
he died, and they say they buried his body in Mobile, Alabama, but we don't
Mobile,
know.
wow.
We don't know where in Mobile,
Okay.
Alabama, because those days I guess they didn't have any strict restrictions on the companies that you have to inform the families all the details. So
Yeah.
details were scanty. Most of
What ship was he sailing on? Do you remember?
no, I don't remember
You
the
don't
ship.
You can look that up.
I guess you could.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
you could.
You can go to, if you go to family, what is it, family research.org,
Oh.
that's the Mormons.
Oh.
The
Oh,
Mormons,
okay.
I say to people I don't agree with their theology, but I agree with their methodology, because they have records on all peoples in the world, you know, all ethnic groups, and I know they have them on Turks and Caicos. And director of the museum where your brother Fred works, Turks and Caicos Museum, told me that they have records of the Methodist and Anglican Church. The Methodists kept very good records.
Okay.
My grandmother, Laura Adams, was a member of the Methodist Church, and one time in Nassau, I saw some of the records there. But they're back home now, and they're at the museum. And what some of us are trying to do is to form a historical society so we can keep our records and get them on computer. And Vanessa, this is where you come in. We gotta have you since you tell us a little bit about your work in terms of software and all that.
So basically what I do is I work with proprietary software. So I work for a company called Law School Admission Council. And basically they administer the LSAT test, which is the test that individuals have to take if they want to go to law school. But in addition, another side of the business is they provide a database to the law schools. And that's what I end up going on and teaching the law schools how to use that database. So I can't say that I'm a computer programmer, but I might be able to help a little bit with getting the records digitalized.
Right. If I was in church, I'd say, "Thank you, Jesus." Because my wife is a researcher too. I mean, she has a PhD from Florida State, and we've been doing a lot, particularly within the Presbyterian Church, and the church. My last church in Newark is a very historical church. First Presbyterian Church of Newark. It's the oldest church in one of the oldest churches in New Jersey, 1666. Princeton University was started out of there. Okay, so we started doing a lot of research. So what I am proposing, and I've spoken with some people down in Turks and Caicos, that we form a Turks and Caicos Historical Society to preserve the records of our people. You know, I think it's extremely, I don't think it is extremely important that we do so. The Bible says that you may tell it to generations following. So I have you, I have Heisen, we got some other people that's going to be a part of this historical society, and hopefully, yeah, we have historians too. We have historians. You know, my wife works with some of them. Her first cousin in Florida is a historian. But I don't think our historical records should be housed in the museum. It should be in a historical society. No, it should be on the internet. It should be on the internet. And so that's where we need brain power like yourself, you know, to help us to do that. And I guarantee you, I am going to really push this because it's a passion of mine. I'm doing it with these films. because my films are on the YouTube and all that. But we need you, and if you know of any other friends that can help out, and it would be good if you get some Turks and Caicos Island people that can really say that they've contributed towards this. Okay, so what I'd like to talk about, Hyacinth, tell. Feel free, you don't have to. But one day I called you, and you said something to me about the school that's named after your mother. Tell us a little bit about that. That kind of ticked you off a little bit.
Oh yes, I was told that they didn't have a picture of her. It didn't really tick me off, but it just alerted me to the fact that a picture of her was missing. So my brother suggested that if I could get something to send over there, the kids who are attending now who didn't have the privilege of knowing her while she was alive would be able to see what she looked like.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a good idea, that they see. So I spoke with the headmistress, and she said she had a small 8, I think she said it was 8.5 by 11.
Mm-hmm.
She had one in the office, and she would appreciate having one that could be displayed in a place where everybody could see it. So I thought that was a good idea, and she agreed with me that it was. So I wasn't really angry about it. I just wanted to be helpful and to make
it's
sure.
It's okay to be angry too. It's all right. The Bible says be angry, but sin not. But those are the things I call it passion, not anger, but passion. We need to be passionate about. We used to be called small islands. But look at our small islands now. They're the most famous islands in the world. Your mother was always a very kind person too, just loving, and caring. I remember when I went to introduce my wife to her, she just hugged me so much, and love it. Vanessa? What are your thoughts of, or what are your memories of her?
I'll always remember her 100th birthday celebration.
Yeah.
I remember we bought her a little tiara, and she wore that tiara with pride. I always remember her sitting in that. We had like a big armchair, and she's sitting, she's a little thing, so she's sitting in this huge armchair with her little tiara on. So I'll always remember and be grateful that we did have the opportunity to celebrate 100 years with her. She almost made it to 101, but she made it to 100. So.
I remember she always used to call Vanessa Little Miss Bright. Because Vanessa always did well in school. And she said, oh, Little Miss Bright.
The fruit dropping from the tree. So you had natural brains.
I did inherit these brains.
You inherited good genes, right? Good brains. That's great. Our young people need to hear about you, and the work you're doing in software and all that, and that's the future, right?
It is definitely the future, and hopefully that the young folk on Turks and Caicos Islands are getting an opportunity to get into the technologies, because I don't know how many opportunities they have now for work or advancement. I don't know if it's a situation where they have to leave home to advance in their careers, and hopefully we can kind of say, Turks and Caicos is a place where you can stay and thrive.
What is the future of technology, of that type of technology, or that type of software and all of that they should be looking into?
Well, definitely people are saying you should definitely, at least at the bare minimum, learn how to code. So I don't know if you have, I know a lot of, here in the States, there's a lot of initiatives for young women to code, because that's typically thought of as a male field. So I don't know if on the islands if there are any opportunities for them to learn how to code, to learn how to build things, basically learn how to make sure you can build your websites, because the internet, the social media, building apps, those kind of things are what are going to be commonplace, or basically are commonplace now. And you need to have those skills, because there's a huge digital divide right now, that some people have access to these resources and other people have no idea how things even function.
So the school system down there should be doing what?
But they definitely should be focusing on the math and the sciences, making sure that, particularly computer science, that kind of thing, to make sure that they're technically advanced, because the technology is moving very quickly, and you want to stay up with it.
Yeah.
And my advice would be just keep working as hard as you can. If you work, you can't fail.
Yeah.
Just work hard and keep at it.
Mm-hmm.
They have the ability, the children there, I'm sure they have the ability to do things. They might need direction.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make sure we have the people who are interested or who have their interests at heart, working with them and encouraging them.
Right. Okay, so I want to thank you all again as we reflect on your mother, Mrs. Ona Glinton, and who will definitely go down in the annals of the history of the Turks and Caicos. There's so many sheroes and heroes. I mean, certainly we have Jags McCartney, who we have a day named after him, but there's so many other people that we can talk about, and I think our young people need to hear about that, and that's part of my objective in doing these films, that they begin to hear stories of people, and I will certainly be coming back to talk with you guys some more, especially you, Vanessa, because you're touching on something that China is involved in right now, and India, right? India, I think, is doing it, and I think Turks and Caicos has a good opportunity, to really be way advanced in the technology, and instead of just having beautiful beaches and all that,
Exactly.
we can really work with that. God bless you. Thank you so much, and look forward to coming back. And I want to shout out to your dear husband, Father Leroy Saunders, and to all the Saunders folks who will be listening to, who will be seeing this. And anybody else you want to say hello to, Harrison, down in Turks and Caicos?
Just everybody over there.
Everybody. Especially your brother Fred, right?
Especially Fred.
Yeah.
We love you all.
Okay. God bless you.
Okay.
Keep the faith.